my plans for becoming the cheerleader or the fan club president for John Fetterman's kind of been put on hold. Away, Democrat Senator John Fetterman voted against the confirmation on Pete Hexa
Hexa.
Hexa. Okay, that's the name.
He needs to change
He
it.
needs to change it, make it
We'll
easier.
just call him Pete.
Yeah, he was him and Senators Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, Susan Collins of Maine, and Mitch McConnell of Kentucky were the three Republicans who voted against the confirmation of Pete Hegseth.
The geriatric gang.
The geriatric, and also just Susan Collins. She isn't it? No, that's Vermont, where
You're not
Bernie
going to
Sanders
do
is
anything
from.
about
Yeah,
her.
you're not going to
They
change her.
love her.
Yeah, and she's a weak Republican. I mean, she's weak and just a weak individual, I think. And of course, our favorite, Mitch McConnell, the Turtle Man,
yeah.
the Turtle Man. Their opposition, along with that, the Senate Democrats, led to a 50-50 tie in the Senate. Vice President J.D. Vance cast the tie-breaking vote, resulting in Hex's confirmation. So I mean, he's in, but I'm kind of disappointed in Fetterman. But like we were talking about, you just don't walk away from a favorite football team or baseball team because they lose a couple of games. So we still have hope for you, John. If you're really legitimate, are on board for what you said you did initially, you're going to do initially. You're still in our good graces. We know that it's awfully hard to break away from the herd mentality. And I think it's ridiculous what they're trying to say about him, Hexeth being because he's a fornicator.
Well, they voted for a man in a dress.
Yeah, I mean, and I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, they told the Democrats for years, the Democrats, the ones back in the Clinton era.
Yeah, Murkowski voted for the man in the dress.
Yeah. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, there's such a different standard for the Republicans and the Democrats. I mean, you can get I mean, come on. We had a guy who was a cross-dresser or a whatever transvestite. What was that?
Transvestite.
Whatever it was. Then you had a guy who was bald with a mustache, wearing dresses and stealing women's suitcases from airports. And
it's like the last 4 years. It's couldn't be real.
It's like, do you remember Soap, the comedy? It's basically episodes of Soap. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, that's what the entire time of, Julian Joe and Camilla, Hyena Harris was. I mean, it was one series of episodes from Soap. I mean, anyway, we're going to move on, but anyway. Now another thing is the non-perpetual machine, the perpetual motion machine we call Donald Trump. We know as Donald Trump. He keeps on moving. I mean, he's took office. He got sworn in. I mean, took office, and he just keeps on moving from one thing to the next to literally put out fires. Well, you got to go on that. What do you have to say about that?
Well, it was pretty cool how not cool. It was like night and day. When he went to North Carolina, he met with the people and gave them time to talk. And they're agreeing with everything that he says. And then he goes to California, and of course, instead of having real people for him to talk to, they have all these senators and different things at the meet and greet. It was totally different. And then plus, even at the table while he's talking, he has opposition to what he's saying. One of the guys, one of the I guess he's a senator, went after him because he wants to get rid of FEMA or maybe revamp FEMA and change it to make it better. But that upset that's all that person wanted to talk about was FEMA.
So Trump wants to address the issue at hand, the priority, getting these people something going on so they can rebuild their lives in both places, California and LA. But these people they're so rigid, the only thing they're concerned about is how it's going to impact them and their careers. And that's it.
And then Karen Bass came. He said, Trump said, I'm willing to forego and just let these people rebuild, maybe make their houses bigger, better, however they want to do it, and they can start tonight as far as federal regulations are concerned.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna. And she started saying, well, I'm going to do the same thing. And then people said, no, you're not. You just said it's going to take 18 months. For one, I forget what the name of the regulation that they have to fight. But it was 18 months for that one to get approved. And then for her, she said, well, we were thinking it might take a week because of the safety issues before you can get back. The house is burnt down. There's nothing there.
Yeah, and there's
cleanup.
And another thing is too, all those people will have homes. They had a place to stay at. Well, now where are they going to be transitioning to, even temporarily, where the homes are being built or whatever? Where are they going to go? You know what I mean? So
I think they've been pretty much taken care of because it's not like North Carolina. A lot more people were affected in North Carolina. It's just hard to talk about because it's just two different places.
Yeah, it's
two different terrains. And just a poor people in North Carolina, some were were poorer
Right.
than the ones in California, because most people that he was talking to in that room had the means to rebuild and
Exactly.
start that night. So on their own without insurance.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Just, but it is the press wants to concentrate on LA because we might run into the rich and
Well,
famous
but
people.
we want those because there were people from poorer county or poorer areas that were there,
Right.
and they were speaking like normal people.
Right.
It was just this person about FEMA, another person. What are you going to do about the insurance companies? And Trump said, "Well, you did it.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
the ones that made the regulations that regulated them right out of your state, and they told you, and I warned you, and you still did it anyways, and
Well,
now you want me to fix it."
well, one time we talked about this too about there's no competitiveness in Michigan anyway. You can't go across state lines to get insurance. That's prohibited. I don't know if it's like that in other states. Is that the case also in California that you're
I'm
aware
not.
of?
I'm pretty. I bet you it
Yeah,
is.
yeah, because they're very restrictive. See, the insurance company basically, they're a part. They basically have their control of the government. I mean, quite a bit of it. I mean, requiring, the
Well,
amount.
that's what he said. Do you want to go up against the insurance companies
Right,
because they're a bunch of lawyers?
and they got
You
big,
don't
deep
want to go
pockets.
against lawyers.
Besides, let's face it, those guys, same lawyers, are probably, chairman or whatever connected to those corporations. So,
But I understand some things you have to do en masse,
right,
and it sucks
right.
that everybody. You may live in a safe area, but you're you're paying indirectly for
Well,
California.
yeah, because
But I mean, maybe if you pay a couple dollars more for California, but not if these are self-inflicted wounds.
right.
That needs to be taken care of
Yeah, it could be.
first before they ask us to chip in for them.
Right. See, every regulation, actually, they get this idea in mind. They want to pass the legislation because address abuse or an issue that wasn't addressed. But then on the other thing is they have unintended consequences, and that's what it did. That's when it sounded it to me. That's what it is on the
But
surface
they were
level.
still sitting there. It's like somebody shitting there, sitting in a poopy diaper, asking everybody else who smells.
Yeah.
That's what it was like.
Yeah, it's like, well, yeah, we're not the. Well, why is this being stalled for? You're the one that's stalling it. I mean, yeah, I mean, like that cat, that the Bass, that the mayor. Oh my God, I couldn't believe when
But
she
he
was
didn't
talking.
take it. He didn't let her get away with anything because he said that you have. He said, "I looked into the powers you have, the emergency powers, and you have the same emergency powers that I have. So you can tell these people they can start fixing their homes tonight."
It's on you. It's
And
the
then
impetus
she's
is on
hemming
you.
and hawing, like I said. Well, maybe a week because they're worried about the air and they're worried about all kinds of things that are going to be there no matter what because the debris is still there. But she's probably got somebody in deep pockets that some corporation or whatever that wants to come clean up
Right.
and then clean up again when they charge the homeowners for getting rid of the refuge.
Yeah, and I don't know if this is true in California, but I think in North Carolina, the people who are wiped out are still expected to pay their taxes. Taxes due right now. They're looking at trying to find a place to how to
But
exist.
I don't want to go in depth.
Right,
But okay, when you pay for a piece of property, right?
right,
You pay so much for the value of the property,
right,
and then you pay so much for the value of the house. Why do you have to insure the house for the amount you paid for the property?
right,
You know what I mean?
right,
The dirt's not going to go away.
right. You just you could if you
The
could have a devastation, you can rebuild that same dirt. But
I don't know. It's just stupid the way that our laws are written.
well, primarily, I think we exist as people in this
We're
citizens. We're
slaves.
slaves. We're
Yeah.
slaves of the people, and we think is we create slave masters. We vote for them. They get some are more laid back, some are more willing to talk to us. The other ones are
And
more
they
draconian.
always do. They always do it. They just say, okay, well, there's only going to be taxes. We only need it for the war. It's only
Right,
going to be painful for a little while,
right,
and then they don't go away
right. And then they increase them. And I'm not trying to knock the
because
military. The military exists, but now they got to. I mean,
we need a
Eisenhower warned
military.
about
We
against.
need a military.
We need a military. We need a military, but we don't need to use them like we've been using. We can't be the world police, and that's where
No.
they'll put the top. That's where our bulk of our money is going to. If the military was properly employed, we would have a safe southern border and a safe northern border. That's where the military of a country should be around the borders, protecting the people inside, not going and trying to save people across the planet. I mean, that's ridiculous.
No,
I mean,
but our government, it somebody needs to fix it, and I think Trump's the man to do it, whether people want to admit it or not. It's like we were said in a prior show that there's not the pushback that there was before, unless they're saving up for it and they're going to come at him all at once. But they can't right now because he's doing so many things all at once.
He's done more in the first week than Biden and Harris did the entire time.
He's done more than in the first week than all the other presidents combined in their first 100 days.
I mean, it's like, and see, that's the problem is they don't see. Basically, they're like the politicians are saying we can't have this. This guy's actually saying that we could do more than we do.
But most of it's promises that
Right.
he said. Promises. He released the J6.
Right.
He pardoned or commuted sentences, and then he did the same thing for the pro-lifers that were put in prison. The 80-year-old woman, remember, who was praying in a waiting room,
and she was 3 years.
I think it was longer than that.
Yeah, I mean, for praying. Okay, I mean, okay, but no.
I understand that she was trespassing.
Wow. Did she have a bomb and stabbed after her chest? Or?
But it's just weird how they can create new laws out of a I don't even know if that would be a misdemeanor.
I did. Yeah, just basically trespassing.
You just ask the person to leave.
You got your picture and you can post it. Say this person's not back allowed in this lobby.
How can you put them in prison?
I don't know. They find it so hard. They find it so harsh for somebody to say what you're doing is wrong to people going in and out of an abortion clinic. They're willing to violate the person's rights extraordinarily draconian levels. I mean, I think that's crazy, man. For freedom of speech issue.
Yeah. But then, okay, we talked about FEMA and we talked about the Department of Education.
Right.
Who do you think was the great president that gave both of those to us?
Drum roll, please.
Jimmy Carter.
Yeah, I mean, it's like he was like basically it was like, well, okay, I know the teachers union actually got the Department of Education as a reward.
Both of them were on his way out.
Yeah, and the way out because I mean, I don't see FEMA's never been good and has never accomplished what it was set up for. I mean, Katrina showed that
it's just made state readiness go down because I'm sure each state, like we talked about before, we had the civil defense.
Right.
As a matter of fact, we had the civil defense force. And remember, you could join the civil defense.
Right, you could be part of
as a kid. They had I don't know what they called the group for the kids.
Yeah, I mean,
but it was sort of like the Boy Scouts, but for civil defense.
Do you remember Civil Air Patrol too? They had
Civil Air Patrol. Yeah, I didn't do Civil Air. Yeah, I did for a minute.
Yeah,
but then it broke up.
Yeah, see, so that kind of stuff there, I mean, they've eliminated. I mean, they went by the wayside because, especially in the 90s when they had the Soviet Union collapse, which actually I thought made it more critical to have something in place because now you got all these former republics of the Soviet Union could take power.
Had people in the community that reacted like on-call firefighters to the disaster or to the emergency.
Right, there's a guy right around the corner from the studio. He used to be there.
Still have when I was a on-call firefighter or volunteer firefighter for 3 years, you would see the guy from civil defense. They still have those guys with the shortwave. He would show up, I guess maybe just for practice. I don't know.
We had a guy right here in the corner that used a ham operator and stuff like that, and he used civil defense, and he was like sometimes other countries.
I'm saying they have a use.
Other part of the states like that would have a tornado. He would actually try to make sure contact was retained. So I mean, he was always busy. I mean, people like them were community. I mean, the community activists now are people who want to just get nonprofits.
You got older people like me who have military experience.
Right. You could.
I mean, I'm not going to go and put myself in danger, but I'll go help.
We talked about this before.
Pour coffee.
Yeah, remember we talked about this before. We had the studio. We have we could get a generator here because I have a generator, and if we have to, we can. If we had the ham operator's license, we can actually operate a radio here and make this like a center of activity or like a
But the thing is, they took all that away.
I mean, it's like, and they try to make it. I mean, by the way, people, if you're interested in the ham operator thing, look into it. I mean, seriously, I think that might be a good thing if you want to reach the country.
Now. I mean, you don't have to make all the investment. You can actually the biggest thing is the antenna,
right? And they also
get the equipment now are just small little boxes where they used to be high powered radios. Remember back in the day. But anyways, just what is the downside of either giving or splitting up the Department of Education amongst the agencies that duplicate what they do anyways? And believe me, government, they do duplicate.
Yes.
There's already laws in place about the level of education. I know there's laws because I looked them up. I didn't bring them all in about how education is supposed to be done and implemented in the states. That's not going to go away just because the Department of Education is going away.
No.
And it should be a state right, just like abortion. states should be able to decide how to manage their students.
See, I think that's the thing is like the founders actually wanted to create states where actually they would have this one right, but have laws that might be against something or whatever. Somebody might like
But
want to
the
live
big
there, they can move to another state.
But one of the biggest arguments is going to be inequity. Of the poorer states won't get the same education. Well, that's not true because some of the poorest states have some of the best education in the United States.
Well, it should be, and another thing is too. People always say we got to have more money for education. Hey, I like to pay good teachers good money. Okay, I love to see that keeps them there. But I was at Mott taking a class there, and I needed help with math. I just took the math class just for curiosity. I hadn't had math in 30 some years. My tutor was a girl from Colombia, the country of Colombia, dirt poor. She knew how to do all the mathematics and stuff. She was trained better in mathematics because she just learned it from somebody teaching on a chalkboard
Well,
and started worrying about all
okay, but
computers.
you've sat in a class before.
Right.
There's always kids who grasp things faster and do it. It doesn't matter where you're from.
But the stuff
And
she,
then, but the stuff she's from, it's always that way.
what's with,
She's the exception to the rule. It doesn't mean that all Colombians are
I'm not saying
excellent
that.
at math.
I'm not
Well,
saying
that's what it sounds like
no,
you're
no.
saying.
What I'm saying is, if we always want to get computers in classrooms. Mathematics and stuff like that could be taught using other things on computers. So could reading. You don't need a computer to teach kids to read. I didn't learn how to read on a computer. I
No,
mean, that's what I'm
they
saying.
had a book.
See, that's so we got it now, and it's easy to integrate. Okay, but there's so much cost for education is now applied towards that kind of stuff, and it
That we
simply
don't
doesn't be needed.
need.
Right?
I don't think a kid should touch a computer before.
Maybe they're 10. Yeah.
Well, no, I mean in school
Right.
until maybe higher in fifth grade, fourth or fifth grade.
Right.
It shouldn't start out. They should learn the basics first and not be allowed to use a computer.
See, they get proficient on learning how to use a computer, but they don't learn how
But you
to
should
other,
be
other stuff.
able to at least add and subtract
Right.
and count change because we still have change, believe it or not,
Yeah, that's a good thing, by the way, folks. Embrace that. But
and spell.
well, let's go over some of the. I mean, like you said, the line. I mean, yeah, you already covered some of that.
I
Yeah.
only brought
Yeah.
the pros because most of the cons were because as inequity throughout
Yeah.
the different states and trying to say that a state won't continue with the same high standards that they had before the Department of Education.
Yeah.
Which, if you look at the graph, the since 1979 or 1980, really,
Right.
the Department of Education has been going slowly
And
down.
the qual for the
So
performance.
you can't argue that the Department of Education has made education better in the United States.
Another
It's
thing
made
is
it worse.
Another thing is too. I think it's a good idea for like a rivalry and competition. States who had lower standards don't like the idea that they're being noticed for having lower standards. Will try to up the game.
And the thing about it, if education is important to parents, that they'll move to another state if they can
Right.
to get that education.
Right, and another thing is too. That's the biggest thing. I have criticisms for teachers and the way the money's applied to education, but it comes down, and I have to agree with the teachers. Parents have got to be involved. You have to show the value and inculcate a value for education amongst your own kids. That's got to be driven home.
And another thing, we need to rethink what an expert is. To me, if we're talking about education, it's that teacher in that classroom,
Right.
not that person who calls himself a doctor,
Right.
like Joe Biden. That it's the person that's actually teaching. They know they're in the ground and they're with the students. They know what's happening.
Right.
This person is so far away that has that doctrine. In 30, they say they have 30 years of education. One of the experts that ChatGPT talked about had only been a kindergarten teacher.
Yeah, yeah, that doesn't give you a good overall view picture of the
No.
education system itself. Another thing is to what I found, people who went to teaching couldn't handle the stress of being in the classroom with kids, become an administrator. Now they're the ones setting policies that other teachers find ridiculous, onerous, and doesn't not productive. I mean, it's these people they just couldn't hack it as a teacher wanted to become administrators.
Right.
Yeah, and I mean that's very common because it's
I
higher
mean,
pay.
think about it. It's not that hard to coast through and get a degree.
No,
No, you can get a degree with a C minus.
right. Basically it's like well, my brother and everybody else says, what they call the person who went through medical school and he got all C's, like
A
doctor,
doctor, same thing for a doctor. Well, I guess they have to do.
doctorate.
No, but that's not true because the mayor of Philadelphia has a educational degree,
Mhm.
and she couldn't even spell eagle.
So yeah, just I've been around educational institutions all my life, and just because they have a degree after their name doesn't mean they're all that smart or people. I mean, I've seen,
No.
but sometimes they even fail in the area they're supposed to be teaching in. I can tell you lots of stories about that. I mean, don't because somebody has a PhD or
Well,
something
remember
after their name.
Dr. Joyce Elders?
Yeah.
She was
Oh yeah.
a winner.
Yeah. She was
She
like,
was a DEI before DEI was a thing.
it's like, oh, well, see, another thing is like, do you think that affirmative action, DEI, or like, I think they're intertwined. I think they're intertwined. They're like morphing in one.
Because there's money. There's
Right.
money. There's money in. There was money in it to do what the government wanted them to do. I don't blame them for doing. And plus regulations. You can't blame the educational system for following the guidelines of the government.
No, because they have to. Yeah,
Right.
right.
So I don't fault them. And they want to make money.
That's
At
it.
the right.
Right. Oh, education is a business.
It's the politicians in government that did that.
right, because they react to some small group because it's part of their constituency or somebody who's paying them a lot of money, the lobbyists and stuff. So our politicians come up with legislation that's favorable for these people. Matter of fact, these lobbyist groups
Okay.
present it to them.
I mean, you can bring that up. Did it change anything for your life? That Trump said that there's only two genders?
Oh, it's like I've always made that assumption
That's
anyway.
all that will be recognized by the government in all writings and everything. Did it change your life?
No,
I don't think it changed anybody's life, really.
and if they say, well, there was like minority people that feel this way,
Well,
they
that's
identify
too
this way.
bad.
I
I
mean,
mean, for something like that, you go with the majority. And that it's time. We've been the majority has been the minority for how long?
oh yeah,
For
50
4 years,
right,
really hard and strong, right?
right,
Having to accept that there's more than two genders, having to accept these pronoun things.
right.
Do you remember the day when my name is Kamala Harris? I'm female. She, her,
Yeah.
and I'm wearing the blue suit with the black hair. How stupid was that?
It's like even a kindergartner would roll their eyes on that.
What are you talking about?
But every time she talked, she'd always like make the
Well,
simple.
I mean, this is the thing that they were presenting themselves at the table.
Right.
Each one was introducing themselves, telling their pronouns, and describing what they were wearing and what they looked like
It's like
to the people that are in the room.
it's like okay.
I didn't understand
I
that.
was like, okay, unless you had a visually challenged person in that room, I don't see the need for that.
But getting back to the experts should be the people doing.
Right.
You should be doing. You not only it's good to be a doctor, but if you're not in the room or you're not at least a principal,
Right.
you're not a doctor. You're a person that went and got education and got a doctorate degree.
Well, okay, in the military, you were in the military. There's a hierarchical structure, but they did take input from people on the.
You had
on
to
the-
go through the ranks.
Right. You had to go through the
You had
ranks.
to go through the ranks, or officers, lieutenant to whatever they are, and then NCOs would have to start out at private.
Right.
So you knew you've had at least 15, 16 years of being in the trenches before you're going to be a higher ranking officer, administrative.
See,
Same thing for an NCO.
I think that the move from where you had to be in the trenches to immediately going through like the academic routes, and now you're considered the authority on this area. That's what they're undoing for unions and everything else.
I'm sure there's doctors of education who've never been a teacher.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'd say the bulk of them who got a PhD in education I've never been in a classroom.
And that's stupid to pay all that money.
Yeah,
for somebody just because they have a degree.
right. I mean, I would want somebody. There was a professor I knew at U of M, Amat. She taught Amat. She was an instructor. She had been a teacher for years, and then she went and got her PhD in psychology, and she taught educational psychology and also developmental psychology. She's seen all the theories being demonstrated pretty much in her experience in the classroom. She had been a teacher for 15, 20 years before she became a PhD. I mean, that's a person you want to learn about educational psychology from.
Right. I mean, that's the first thing you want to see I did. I don't know about you. When you were going to take a class,
Right.
You looked at their resume,
right?
Right. To see what they did.
It's especially like stuff that's pragmatic. Like when I was taking procedural law, the man who taught it back at Mott back then was a practicing attorney.
Because I've seen professors taken apart,
right?
Because they had never practiced their craft.
I had an art professor at U of M. She wasn't an artist, really, to my knowledge, and they had people who were artists and doing artist work all the time. She couldn't relate to these people. They got dirty doing stuff. She was an academic. She read books. She didn't have any kind of she didn't practice any art or participate in any art that I was aware of.
Right. So I guess you could teach art
Art
appreciation,
appreciation, but I mean,
but not an art class
because
where you're teaching people how to draw or whatever. And how could you do that?
well, she said something that was like, my friend was an artist, and come when I was hanging around the class
Yeah.
with, and he was an artist, and he raised an objection to something she said. She took real umbrage at it, because I've read this in the book, and he goes, I do this work, I do that, I know this doesn't work, what you're talking about. So I mean, it was kind of tense because I'm sitting beside this guy, and this professor is like getting really irate, but it was funny at the same. I had a hard time not laughing because of the exchange, but anyway, that's it. I think people who are let's face it, I mean. We do this stuff. Okay, I do this pot, and yeah, I screw up all the time, and I've been doing this how many years?
A lot.
Yeah, and I still screw up. I mean, so even experts, and I consider myself an expert doing this.
Well, I mean, I consider you an expert because you do it every day.
Right. So I mean, but I mean, let's face it, there's still follow. But you got somebody just theoretical, totally. That's all they know about it. That's ridiculous. Trying to have to listen to them. I mean, that's of course. Then I guess you could say a lot of things we cast in doubt because they are basically just academic degrees we have to go with. The academic degree holders. Anyway, so you got anything, or you want to? Which one you want to transition to, or?
No, just pick one.
Okay, let's see. Yeah, we'll talk about. Well, you covered that about with the pros and cons about eliminating the board of the Department of Education. I mean, maybe we can ask people for participation
If
if
they
you're.
want to,
Yeah,
but how do you feel about the way that I mean, have you seen many arguments about the J6ers being pardoned or commuted
dude,
or the commutations?
I've heard people react saying like,
But
"Oh, there goes the rule of law," and I mean, it's like ridiculous. I mean, Biden on his departing shot on the country gave a blanket, amnesty basically to all his family members. Well, now some experts in that field are coming forward and saying this is something he can't do. I
right.
mean, because they haven't been charged with anything.
But we talked about that before, and that's what I worry about. If they go after Biden,
Right.
what if they can go after Trump?
Well,
That's what they're gonna. The Democrats always you give them are giving them an inch to take a mile,
right.
and that's what they're gonna do with this. This will be their end. So they really need to rethink if they're gonna go after these pardons.
Okay, yeah, because they'll be dismissive of this if you try to object as like,
But you look what the Democrats are doing right now with the J6ers. That the DAs in these Democrat areas in the states are going after the J6ers
right.
at the state level now.
Yeah, I guess it's
So if they're doing that for the J6, what do you think they would do for a Trump pardon?
well, yeah, I mean, they definitely
Well, I mean, they're already doing it.
right, they're gonna do it. They're gonna do it. So, like, I think it's really weird though that there's the rules are only for this side when the left has done something. No, that's not applicable to
What's
us.
always stupid is the Republicans, as soon as the Democrat screams bloody murder, they say, "Oh, you're right," and they
Yeah.
stop doing what. No, you don't stop now. You
No,
don't stop.
maybe they should have. Maybe they should have to put there. Maybe they have to issue some kind of I don't know.
It's always Charlie Brown with the football. The Republicans are Charlie Brown.
They're gonna help. We're gonna play along this time.
The Democrats know best.
We're gonna play
Even
fair.
when they're not in power, they're in power.
Yeah, they. What's like. It does seem that they surrender.
I mean, look at the scumbags they got. Adam Schiff.
Yeah, shifty
Oh, he
shift.
got
Yeah.
rewarded. He went from a representative. Now he's in the Senate.
Yeah, it's like it's a Dilbert principle.
And he also got a pardon from Joe Biden. So that means he's guilty of something, right?
That's
they
what I
don't
was.
give a person not who's either you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that, like I said, it's a two-tiered system. I mean,
But think
this,
about
this
it.
group does whatever it wants. This group's got to be held to every law that these people can come up with out of the blue.
But we were introduced to Isaac Thomas.
Right.
First, if you watch the video, I mean his first he just had turned 18.
Right.
Trump was the first president that he ever got to vote for. And so the following year he goes to J6 and he gets hung up at 18 or 19, 20 years old.
Mm-hmm. Not doing anything wrong.
No, he was outside. They said that he hit somebody, but there's no witnesses.
See, that's what the thing is. It's the left will make charges and make it stick, even if there is no evidence.
But he never went. He never went to trial. He was held for I don't know how many months in jail in solitary confinement.
That's something you give to serious, people, not just not a misdemeanor.
Most of these people hadn't had a trial yet. Some of them 3 or 4 years, no trial.
See, the government's reaction to all the J6ers,
We-
it shows the
But
fear
the
that
thing
people
is,
actually
that
challenge
we've
it.
had Republicans in there the whole time who
Right.
did not. Oh, they went and visited the jail.
Yeah, just
They did nothing.
well,
They weren't beating their chest. You know why? Because they were worried that they wouldn't get voted back in.
it's that manipulation too. Guess what? They can't just say, "Hey," they should have come forward and say, "Hey, look, I'm seeing that this has been investigated because I see there's a miscarriage of justice here." But no, well, yeah, I'll just go talk to him. Maybe I'll take him some candy bars or something. But yeah, I mean that's gutless. What they did was gutless. But the Republicans are gutless. It's a gutless
They are
party.
gutless. They're worthless.
I mean, they've always shied away because the thing is, the media and I got to maybe give them a way out, maybe play devil's advocate for them. They're always going to say, and rightly so, well, whatever we say is
Okay, but
twisted
they
by the
knew what
press.
it was before they went there, didn't they?
Right.
I mean, it wasn't like they're stupid that they didn't know what they were walking into.
I mean the J6ers or
the politicians.
oh yeah, they knew that was going to be that way. I mean, I, I don't understand. I don't understand what would anybody want to go into politics in the first place, other than you don't want to work hard.
The Republicans, when they go in, they get their backbones removed.
I think
And
so.
they don't get them back, or they might get them back.
Well, the way I see the Republicans and Democrats, the Democrats see themselves the cool kids, man. We're all hanging out. Oh man, these people, yeah, they're the ours, man. We can't get along with them, man. No matter what they say, we just mock them. Yeah, they're not even smart enough to even make an intelligent objection to what we do. I mean, and basically they're cowed by that. The Republican, well, you're right. They're mealy mouth. I mean, and it is because when you're always in possession of
A
presentation.
lot of the Republicans are those kids at school that you would throw bologna sandwiches at.
Right.
They're nerds and they're lawyers.
Yeah, and then that should embolden them to some degree. I mean, you should be able to find
No,
manipulative ways.
Everybody's talking about fancy pants, Lindsey Graham and Mr. Suspenders Kennedy. You know they go and swap spit with the Democrats after their meetings and go hang out with them. As a matter of fact, Chuck McConnell, after he voted no on Hexa, they have him going walking across the aisle and shaking hands with Democrats.
Yeah, we don't have representation.
Well, they pretend like they're split all the time.
Right.
You know they're hanging out together.
It's like they're basically it's missing as a crowd when they have the boo hiss like the wrestling matches. That's all it is. All the Mitch is missing. I mean, it's all hype. It's all like smoke and mirrors. I mean, these people are the same people. It's a uniparty. It really is. The reason why I like Trump is he's not that uniparty. He's brought people.
That's the reason why we both like Fetterman, because they haven't gotten to him yet, and I don't think they can.
I'm kind of disappointed, like I said earlier, but like I said, we're still no hope for either Mr.
Like we're
Fetterman.
talking about, you don't stop following a football or basketball team just because they lost one game.
There are a few Democrats I like.
But wouldn't you rather him be like that?
Yeah.
Than vote? I'd rather him vote his conscience and vote what he feels. Because one time he might be voting with the Republicans because he feels that that's right.
And I see that
what I
possibility.
like about
That's what
it.
I see as a possibility.
And that's the same thing. I don't expect. Okay, on appointments, I expect Republicans to vote down party line because it's their president. And their president wants this person. They shouldn't. Why should they fight it?
Right. Maybe they say, "Well, I don't want to be like pillared later because you went along with this." Yeah, you did too.
Believe me.
Yeah.
You're going to be pillared because you not only got Trump, you've got the X-Man himself.
Mm-hmm.
Elon Musk is going to come after you, and maybe primary you.
So you got people. Now, guess we have the American people now have people with the funds that we can sidestep all those lobbyists who have the access to our politicians.
Think about how stupid are they? Trump won,
right?
And Trump's the reason why they're there. Some of them,
yeah.
Enjoy it for 4 years.
Yeah, because
and plus you're going to need Trump's help because some of them come November are going to be this November or next November. But anyways, come the midterms, they're going to need Trump.
Right. It's like stick with your guns, stick with Trump. And guess what? If you got 4 years, you can accumulate as much wealth as you want to because they haven't changed where they can't invest in stuff now. They haven't changed that.
The pirate about that.
Yeah. Did you see the anger in his eyes? Because that was
his eye.
Yeah, his eye. Yeah, his eye. I mean, I feel bad criticizing because he is a veteran. I mean, I do.
Big deal. I'm a veteran. You criticize me all the time.
I know, but but I just think that.
You feel bad about it?
Well, there's like, I mean,
sometimes you don't.
well, no, and I don't. I mean, I do give you a due difference because I think, Bob, when it comes to international
Because
stuff,
I'm a nut, I might kill you.
well, no, that's not the case. But I mean, I think that you basically, you've got experience dealing with people in the ground in different countries. I never did that. I never had that. But I would say if it was like a doctrinal thing or something like that for like political stuff,
But
I'd challenge it.
he's not in that capacity right now.
No,
He's
but he gets.
a House representative, so that's who you're going after. You're not going after him as a veteran.
Right.
You can't think of him that.
No.
He's a veteran who is a House representative.
Right, and he's like, I think he's seeking personal gain by being in public office from his reaction.
Who are we talking about?
Dan, was it Dan
Crenshaw?
Crenshaw, yeah,
The pirate.
yeah. It's like you look him up. He was former SEAL, wasn't he, or something?
Nah, it doesn't matter what he was. Right now, he's in the House of Representatives. He's a congressman. He's not that veteran shit goes out the door.
So that was yesterday. Today's today, and I mean, but he shows contempt for anybody having any questions for or putting them into task, hold them to task for what they've done.
He's the type of person that shouldn't be in Congress.
No, he's got this arrogance.
Right.
I think it's Barb.
I'm surprised that people haven't come out against him.
I mean,
because you can't. I mean, you can't hide that.
No, I mean,
he must have been the same way when he was in his unit.
Yeah, I mean, I bet you he was. I would like to take a poll amongst the people who actually served with, but
it's not worth my time.
But I just don't like the guy because I just don't like his reaction. Like, I only had $25,000 in the stock market at a given time. Well, that's your fault. But now you want to say, hey, I'm here. I should be able to do what I want to do.
You took the job,
right? I mean, it's like,
if you don't want that job, then don't do that.
Believe me, there'll be a lot of people willing to take that role. Democrats or Republican types. Either one. So, you're not irreplaceable, guy. Okay, Dan, you're not. You could be booted out the next election, and I hope if you continue with your thing of display of arrogance, I hope that happens really quick.
But I mean, I'm just surprised just the amount of executive orders that man signed. It's got to be. I think it's 50 over 50 now.
Within what? How many days was he sworn in the 20th?
Monday.
Right? Oh my God! I mean, it's like the rate of stuff I see and I hear coming out in the press. It's like, well, he's been here for like 6 months. I mean, he's done this much of 6 months of work done in within relatively 4 days.
What about the bill, humans over fish, something like that? I can't remember. Not the bill, but the executive order, humans over fish for California with that smell.
Yeah, I would say that's a priority I can agree with. I mean,
I bet you can see them seething. Is that the word I'm looking for?
Seething, yeah.
Yeah. And while he was talking about that, while he was visiting in California about their poor forest management that needs to be improved, and then he talked about how the water is going to start flowing. Oh man, they looked upset. How could you be upset about that?
Because you're just a partisan. I mean, you're an ideologue. I mean, I think that's the only way you can explanation why anybody would object to what he's doing.
But people were asking him, are there going to be strings attached? And he more or less shrugged it off. But there's going to be strings attached to the money that's coming to California.
Yeah, make sure it's used for what your intended purpose was.
Well, because he was talking about getting the farmers back their farmland into usable, because right now they only get so many gallons per month to use. And he's saying they're going to soon have an unlimited supply of water to use.
That's again.
Isn't that stupid? Okay, you're going to divert water, and then you're going to tell people. Trump said that he's got a house in Beverly Hills that he got a notice for. That he wants each person in the house to only use 38 gallons.
How
38 gallons a month?
A month? How the hell can that? I mean, if you're
he said that,
yeah,
something to that effect.
I don't know how that could be humanly possible. I don't.
No, that's exactly what he said. It's not possible. He said it sounds like a lot of water, but it's not.
It's not. I mean, it's 30. I mean, that's not a lot at all.
Anyways, but they got unlimited water, almost unlimited water supply,
right?
That they could have
from the sea,
but the water is being diverted, and it's not allowed to run its natural course. I don't know if you know or not, but where LA used to be a lake. It used to be one of the largest lakes in the nation.
And it just like
they drained
it. I mean, the population would put a high demand on any water supply.
No, they drained it so they could use the land to build on.
Oh, that didn't make sense.
That's what I'm saying. It used to be one of the largest lakes in the nation.
That's
We're talking the 1800s
uh,
or whatever.
yeah, because I had family members that lived out in
But
California
but
back
what I'm
then.
saying is the natural flow of water was to that lake.
No, we got better use for this land. Like what? Oh, I want to put a house here. Oh, okay. Well, what about the water? At some point you probably need water, right?
But they still had the water coming
Right.
that was usable. But they decided, like I said, that it was an inflicted wound, a self-inflicted.
I
And then there's, like I said, it's like what I said before, the scent in a stinky diaper,
well,
asking who smells.
it's like it's yourself. It's like I use that analogy similarly myself. I mean, like the fart smell, right? Oh, who did this? Sure up. Do you see what they did? And it's the person who's actually calling it out, is the one who did it. I mean, I just think we got to be we got. I just they're insanity. The Democrats and primarily in California. We'll say it that way because I don't deal with them and I don't have to probably. But I think they're
Well, we do
nuts.
deal with them because we're in the Democratic community.
Yeah,
So almost everybody you meet's a Democrat. So,
yeah, but
but it's a different kind of
yeah,
Democrat.
definitely, yeah.
They're not going to let their house burn because of lack of water.
No, they're going to take that in hand and deal with it. Maybe they'll deal with the aftermath and the wrath of their superiors later. But yeah, I mean, all these policies have been destroying humans. I mean, we try to prioritize. I don't understand any legislation that.
But there's still people like he had like 10 people in California where he met in the at the fire department that want to rebuild. They want to live there. So it can't be as bad as we think it is, even with the regulation.
Yeah, that's.
If people with the money and the means are willing to rebuild on their own dime.
Did you hear about Bill Maher took them to task and stuff like that? And he said, "Yeah, I don't mind paying tax." And I guess he admitted to paying like $13,000 a year in taxes where in California where he's
Right.
living at. That's a lot of money, by the way. Most people here don't make that much in the entire year for themselves overall. Um, anyway, he said, "I don't mind paying this, but you're being stupid. You're not taking my money and doing what they're supposed to be being taxed for." I mean, I don't know if you saw the whole thing,
But
but
you're
it was
gonna wait until you're almost 70 years old to wake up.
right. Yeah, it's like, it just well, it takes time. And people but they're driven by their ideals, and even if they don't even evaluate those, periodically, I mean, they
But
get stuck in it.
again, even at that round table, I would say, I don't know, 40, 50% of those people detest Trump and detest even what he's doing now.
You can't
You can
fix
see it, even with that. I don't know if he's a congressman or a senator. I forget what he's. But him and Trump went back and forth about the merits of FEMA
and
and
it's like,
what a great job they're doing in California.
yeah, they might be doing something in California. I don't see anything doing North
Uh,
Carolina, but
Trump shut him down and just went to the next person.
I mean, the thing is, he's not diplomatic, and that's one thing that he's an
But the thing
advantage.
is, you could pretend. I mean, the meeting was only like an hour.
Mhm.
You could pretend to get along during that time. You don't have to argue with the president of the United States across the table and show people what an idiot you are.
No, but some people like to put that on full display. I mean, they can't be satisfied knowing that themselves. They want to make sure everybody else is aware
Something
of it.
called decorum.
Right. And it's like,
And plus, you're asking that man for money.
and he's got the purse strings,
Right.
Right. So I mean, like when Karen Weaver didn't want to deal with Trump, when she was the mayor here in Flint, and she didn't even want to associate him with, go on a tour and get him a tour of the water plant, which was a major issue during her term, her administration. I think that was short sighted. Even if I don't like somebody,
No, I mean, at least Karen Bass,
yeah,
she showed up.
right,
And so did the governor.
right.
She showed up to the meeting at the fire station.
That's good then. I mean, that shows something. I mean, some
I
initiative,
mean,
some
she
understanding.
sounds like an educated person. I mean, listening to her talk, she sounds smart, but she just is stuck in that rut. Like I said, telling the people that it's going to take a week before you can start cleaning up, meaning that we're going to clean up and you're going to pay us money for what we did.
Yeah, it's like, and that's there's always strings attached to it on that level. When you get aid, you're expected to give them money back for it. I mean, even the Red Cross does that, by the way. I don't know if you know that or not, but yeah, but anyway, I think it's like I'm glad that Trump's like just a perpetual motion. I mean, I don't know how he does it. He just got off the campaign trail. Got elected. Now he
But
took off.
I mean, to me, it seems like he's been there forever already.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I mean, he just took all January 20th. What is it, the 25th right now today?
It's
25th.
Saturday,
Yeah,
took over
25th.
Monday.
Yeah, took over Monday. Bam, bam, bam. He hasn't stopped. I mean, when's he been back? When's he gone back and slept in the White House?
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, has he slept? Does he sleep on the planes going back and forth? I mean, I mean, I'm concerned about because I want him to see his agenda met. I want to make sure he's alive to do this.
Well, he just knows that he's only got 100 days. Well, really, that I think they want to do everything in 90 days. And look how fast he's getting his people in there.
I mean, that's yeah. Usually, somebody else drags their feet, and you hear about
Because Christine knows when we're getting ready to do this, she's in.
That's great.
Pete Hexa, we got an attorney general, we've got Cash Patel.
The speed this man moves by is just remarkable. I mean, even if you don't like him, even if you oppose everything he's doing, you got to give him this credit.
And they are. I think they are. This time's different.
Right.
I think the news, other than CNN, because the people who are commentary, they're not really reporters or whatever. The reporters are loving it.
Yeah.
Because it's news like they've never had before, and they don't have to go through somebody who is a DEI person to get the information,
Right.
or a person that says we have to circle back on that. They can go straight to Trump. I mean, the first thing right after he was done with the inauguration, he went and started signing some executive orders. And when he signed the executive orders, he was talking to the news.
Right. He was saying he would bring it up when he was signing.
It seemed like this Peter Ducey doing all the talking, but at least he was talking to somebody.
And another thing is, I just think that his willingness to, I mean, let's face it, if I had the problem with the press that he did when his first administration went on, only people who are favor of me, I think I'd be tempted to do that, but he's not.
But the thing is what he's doing is killing them with kindness,
right?
Killing them with too much information that they can't. They're getting so much information that they can't spin it.
And he's also declassified his stuff.
And they're upset about that. I'm like we talked before, the declassifications of JFK, Martin Luther King, and Robert Kennedy. It's not the information we're going to learn about what happened. We probably won't. There'll probably be redacted some of that stuff.
Right.
What we're going to find out is about the person, and I think that's what they're really worried about.
Yeah, because it's not going to make it's going to be harder to make them as like a look like these shining heroes. I mean, very seriously, they were heroes. I mean, they did some heroic stuff. I can't deny that. They ultimately died for their beliefs, but they were very seriously flawed people.
They're martyrs,
right?
And you don't want to ruin the history and ruin their reputations,
tarnish their their halos,
right? And that's what I worry, that these things that we're going to find out things that, I mean, if you look, you can find out about Martin Luther King and you can find out about JFK. Not too much about Robert Kennedy out there.
No, I don't. I mean, what I heard about him is he was considered kind of a vindictive person. If somebody crossed him, he made sure he got him paid back, politically and stuff. So I mean, but that's a politician. I mean, I think I'd be
about that today. How could you have your brother as the attorney general?
You couldn't. They call him a Nepo, and nepotism. I mean, a white privilege and a Nepo. I mean, serious. He had it. The Kennedy clan had it in spades.
Oh my God, he was Catholic on top
that
of that. That was a horrible thing.
So my mom voted for Kennedy because she's still a Catholic at the time when he got elected, and my dad took her to vote, and he says, "Oh, she just went and canceled my vote because he was a Republican." But later on, she became on board. She didn't vote for Democrats.
Well, remember we used to laugh about our attorney friend,
right?
He was a Republican. His wife was a Republican. He's a Democrat.
And
his vote didn't count anyways.
Yeah, they worked out together great. He was a great man. He was a good-hearted person. He lived by his principles. I got to give him that. I mean, and he did deserve the death that he got. I mean, it was terrible what he went through. Anyway, yeah, I just think that I'm just so damn optimistic, and I hate being optimistic because I'm waiting for the shoe to drop. But I think that Trump is making a major difference in all our lives, and I think even the people who hate him are going to find that their lives are much better within a year or two than they had been previous. Because we had somebody who just basically,
but it's not only us; it's the world.
Yeah.
That I guess loves him. It's not just the United States.
Well, it's the
other countries.
It's the political class that usually criticize Donald Trump from other countries. The average people are like ecstatic that he's in power.
I don't know if you've seen any excerpts from experts.
Yeah.
What's the word I'm trying to say? From Davos or not?
No.
But he talked down to all those people. He had like little burns for each one of them. It was pretty good.
The president of Argentina, Javier, Milo.
Yeah.
He blustering attack on the the way the system was going and stuff like that and what they've been
But
doing and been
remember,
doing.
they were talking about how he was tearing up his country as they're producing energy and they're thriving now. Their economy has never been moving along like it is now.
The price of rents for apartments and stuff have
Everything's
been
going
stabilized.
down.
Yeah, I mean it's like he's I mean he's gutsy as hell because let's face it, though that part of the world, I mean they don't have the safety measures in place. They don't have the
But they
laissez-faire
needed
vote.
somebody like
Oh,
they needed somebody like Trump to come in there and just start cutting things.
right,
But he had more. He has more authority than Trump does.
right.
I mean, he was cutting out whole departments.
Do you know he is considered he considers himself and proclaims himself to be a libertarian. Pretty much on his political views and stuff like that. Which is, I say, I'm a libertarian. I still hold out hope somebody can. A lot of people are going to catch on when they see the stuff effect and what the role of government has done and the devastating thing, like FEMA. I
But
mean,
this okay, but I don't blame the younger people now because they don't know what they lost. Just like we don't know what we've lost because we've been around for a while. We see the encroachment of government.
yeah. Well, I think actually, well, I'm actually kind of encouraged because I have seen one thing. I have seen there's like people who are our kids from other countries. They actually are talking to each other and they're weighing and they're actually have and analyzing some. Not all of them, but some of them are, and they're seeing where we were taught to not to question too much what our government does because we had this flag waving
I mean,
mentality.
think about it. When you were a kid, did you ever think that you could speak this to somebody in Russia? No.
No, no, that was like that
So
was like a long. That was not even. You didn't even
I,
consider that.
no, but now if you want to, you can have friends internet friends, I
Right.
guess, all over the world.
Right. I mean, so I mean, that's it. See, that's one thing. That's what they want to stop TikTok and all these other things. Like, oh, you're giving away information, and they're going to use it.
No, you get
No,
firsthand information from what's going on in that country that you're saying it's so bad,
I mean,
and you're finding out it's not that bad. Like Russia, you see the videos in their supermarkets how things are cheap.
right.
You see the same thing in China how things are cheap.
And they're not being subsidized by us like the other
No,
countries. I mean, we're not subsidizing Russia. We're not subsidizing China. I guess with one time we're actually paying we actually paid for an ad campaign for a
no,
Chinese
because
company,
but
but
these countries also have immigration,
right,
and they decide who comes in their country and who doesn't come. Unlike us, where you not only come to our country illegally, we have presidents and administrations that make it easy for you to do it, and
right,
then we reward you for doing it,
right. So
and you think what you're doing is correct because
you know,
Joe Biden let you do it.
right, and so now it's like you feel like
And now you feel like
a victim.
you're a victim
Right, and you are.
because you got another president saying no, that was never right, and I'm sorry, but you got to go.
I mean, could you imagine if even the government was now forced to go back to and I think that's what Trump is trying to do, get the government back into the role they're intended for. They resent that because they've had such free reign for how many years? You know,
Four
yeah.
at least.
Well, I mean, it's even worse. So, I mean,
Well, I think over the last 4 years, a lot of things have gotten crazier.
it's just yeah, insane crap. I mean,
Look at what happened in our state during that 4 years. That we thought I thought everybody thought it was happening in other states,
no,
but if I would have just went and lived with my brother in Texas, I would have had a lot better life.
yeah, I mean, it's like you look at the freedom. I mean, look at the freedoms we allowed ourselves to have taken away from us. I mean, and Whitmer, the one doing it, she put us under certain things, and then she just totally ignored them for herself. She went and traveled. She went to Florida.
But do you think after Trump won Michigan, if there's a decent Republican that's running for office, like a John James, that they'll vote for that person over our AG? I forget what her name is, Nessel.
Nessel, I think I can.
Do you think they're gonna? But either way, even if it was a crappy person, do you think they would still vote Nessel in, even with this stupid, ridiculous egg cage-free egg thing that are causing eggs to go up over $6 a dozen now? After we had just went through that problem, how many months ago?
With the pandemic or alleged pandemic, yeah.
No, in recent times.
I mean, with
because they were killing all the
chickens.
birds.
Yes. See, they're trying to starve out the lower class people, the lower economic class, because I know people who depend on eggs for a big part of their diet.
But there's people who have that bridge card that They don't care how much eggs cost.
But still, well, they can't purchase other things if they have to pay that much for the eggs. They're going to reduce them all. They're
Then
going
they
to
just
be able
won't eat eggs. They just eat something else. What do they care?
to.
They can eat lobster
I
if
just
they
think
want to.
I question why she's even got that ability to do what she did there. I mean, I don't know
The
why.
Democrats did it. Remember they
Yeah.
pushed through all those things back in December before
Yeah,
because they were lame ducks.
right.
But they had the House, and they, as fast as they could say it, she was slamming the gavel
Mhm.
on all of them. It was almost that fast. Then
Right.
the person would say it, slam the gavel, and just go on to the next thing. Remember?
Yeah, that's like, and that can't. That's not good. But I mean, we're screwed. I mean, seriously. I was at the store the other day. What, $8, $9 for a dozen eggs? I mean, we're not talking unique eggs. I mean, it looked the same.
No,
But,
they're just scarce,
right.
so they can go.
Well,
But I mean, if we wanted to, we live close enough to the Ohio border. If eggs were that important to you, you just drive down to Ohio and buy them and
bring
come back home.
bringing back dozens of some like
Yeah.
cigarettes from a non-tax state. No, no.
I wouldn't doubt that there's people doing that.
What are they going to do? Have people try? No, I don't want Grit Whitman to hear
I
that. She would have
wonder.
them.
I wonder if you can use your bridge card across state lines.
I don't know. I don't know. I know a lot of people would if they could. If they could, they would. I mean, I think it's just it's an asinine. It's again they prioritize animals. I mean, the same party that wants to care for chicken so much has no problem with abortion. I think
No,
it's so
or the same,
schizo.
or just going and devastating 4 million acre, not 4 million, it's 400,000 acres
Yeah,
of forestry
to put
for solar.
yeah for solar, for which actually is not
That if it's solar, we're for it.
yeah. I mean, it's not a viable option for
Yeah, it's like
Michiganders.
30%
Yeah,
is all they're going to get out of it.
and so and like I said, look, Scotland did the same thing though because that movement's international. I mean, this ridiculousness
But
is
we're just,
international.
but I don't care about Scotland. They can do what they want. I'm only worried about us.
Well, I'm glad we got to put a rest to that to stop it. I mean, I bet you the Democrats, the environmentalists, are chomping at the bit for that. I mean, they're horrified and
Because
pissed off
there's
about
money.
it.
There's money out for both of them.
Oh yeah, if nothing is done
It's
without
just
money,
like the contractors make all the money for the solar to sell your solar.
right?
And then once you get it and you have to start paying those bills,
Right.
and you find out that the solar is not what they said it was going to be,
And it's like the best thing to do is basically get educated by watching shows where
is
people are
not
being
get
interviewed,
it.
right? And you'll get it,
Is not get it.
right? It's just
Especially in Michigan.
yeah. I mean, it's besides eventually you've adopted consumers or whatever is going to get pissed off that you're not paying them
And
something, so they're
also
going to find a way of eliminating
the
it.
technology. I mean, with the ever changing technology we have now, would
Right.
you want to be stuck with the solar panel that you're going to have to spend 10 years to pay for?
No, it doesn't make it
It's
pay
going to
off.
be maybe something that the power company says that you can't use anymore in 5 years.
Right,
But
because
you
it's
still have to pay for it.
some legislator gets in there and they can
No,
pass a
it's
law too.
because it's ineffective or whatever.
Well,
They
they just
decide that it's a hazard or something.
and it's all going to be prompted because they're not making as much money as they had before, so they got to have a new technologies, and then they come
Right.
yeah, so they can continuously push this new technology, and you have to buy it to keep current. And no pun intended on electricity part, but no, I just think it's not a viable option. And I think is they lost momentum after the 70s.
If
They
it
could
was
have
such a great thing, if solar was so great, they wouldn't need all the incentives for people to get it.
right. I mean, how many?
It would pay. It would sell itself.
Well, I'm looking at it because I'm going to have a high fuel bill. This next bus round of bills because my furnace has been running constantly. And okay, say I could get new windows, and they said get new windows, it'll pay for itself.
That makes sense.
But get new windows, yeah. But if you look at the other stuff you want, all the insulation and get this, basically okay, you can put all that in, but you're not going to actually enjoy the benefit. You might be in that house. They have to be in that house 20, 30 years. I'm 61 years old. If I'm going to be in that house that length of time to actually realize the great savings or some kind of benefit from it, no, not likely.
But
Windows are good.
Are a good investment.
Yeah, because they're quieter.
Investment. They're because they'll save you money in the wintertime here.
Yeah, somewhat. But if you just look at the initial cost, if you don't have that, then you still got to pay your bill, and then you got to see if you can try to find a replacement for the windows, and those good ones are going to cost quite a bit.
Right.
So, but anyway, it's not. We're trying to push agenda that actually we don't have the means to actually meet. I mean, the technological advancements, they're not in place.
But what's cool right now is we're able to talk about this now.
Right.
3 years ago,
no,
we wouldn't be. We would have been shut down right at the beginning of. Or we would have been at least on YouTube,
right? And
because there 3 years ago, I think there was a Rumble 3 years ago.
Right.
that would probably be the only place we would be going live.
Because I mean, how many times did we get threatened for on YouTube for when we talked about the pandemic and stuff like that? We were not on board for some of the stuff. They threatened us several times. I mean, they were shut down for 2 or 3 weeks at a stretch. For couldn't go live on couldn't go on the YouTube at all. We couldn't upload
No,
our
that's
videos.
why we went to Rumble at first, but then we found out that actually YouTube's better. They can say all they want about Rumble. YouTube is the place to be.
It's the one that existed longer. More people are comfortable using, and again, they didn't have to be subsidized. It's because people saw value in, or just simply enjoyed it. They went and used it. Of course, they didn't have to purchase it, but needless to say, people want it. It's like you build it, they will come. That doesn't work with all these alternative energy sources. It doesn't. They build it, but nobody are coming to it because they got to look at the initial startup cost and the lack of efficiency and the lack of not delivering what they say or are supposed to deliver. I mean, it's just simply not working. It's not a good it's not a good marketing scheme.
For solar.
Solar, yeah, solar, or even the wind turbine or turbine stuff or whatever. That might be a better option. Michigan is kind of a windy state. I mean, that might.
But do you want a big old turbine in your neighbor's yard?
No, it's like, and the thing is, I got
I'm
to.
sure they make noise.
Another thing is too, maybe the people in Michigan, Flint, wherever it got rivers or whatever, maybe we should start seeing.
We don't see any. I don't think we have the wind for it.
But I mean for
The
the
turbines.
I mean for the rivers, using like water propelling, water.
But that makes too much sense.
Yeah, it makes too much
Probably
sense.
doesn't cost that much to do that.
No, it wouldn't cost that much. I don't
There's
think.
no incentives from the government, and I think if Trump were smart, he would nix the incentives and make it hard for the next president, if it's a Democrat or a Republican, to start up again.
All right, but I think that's what the water, like you got, of course, some bodies of water like available.
But don't you think that money could be much better spent in? There's other technology that
Yeah.
we need. We need more electric. We need to upgrade our electricity grid.
Right, because a lot of
So
it.
take that money that they're giving for solar and in these EV cars and put it into electricity.
Because see, the thing is, if we upgrade our system, electrical grid, it would eliminate a lot of inefficiencies. Because you see electrical things coming to your house, but you realize there's a loss before it gets there. They send it out, and there's so much of a loss on the lines and transmission lines. Also, the way of gas delivery, there's gas leaks yet all over the country. That significant amount of escapes, no explosions because they're underground and stuff, but there's still enough to actually make a dent, and takes away from the supply.
So take that money that they're putting into EVs
Right.
and solar and wind,
right,
into our energy grid.
Get more stuff, and we have the transformers, whatever's made here now, currently made in Europe. Okay, it takes 2 years for some of these to be finished off and sent over here. 2 years. Think about that. 2 years. Okay, you get a major catastrophe, either deliberate or non-deliberate. You're wiped out. Your grid's
There
wiped
could be
out.
back doors in these things.
Right. So I mean,
'Cause,
yeah,
everything comes with electronics now.
make them in the United States. We have companies that could do that here, and that
Well,
cause
give those
employment.
companies incentives.
Right. Say, hey, guess what? Build
these. We need this. You build this. We're going to give you this incentive to do it.
Yeah, no taxation.
And all they have to do is just move the wind and the solar incentives to that. I mean, that's what we should be doing. Doing the best we can with the models of energy that we have that are efficient and we know that work.
Right.
And once we get that up to snuff, then you can go back to the solar, and hopefully these people would, because right now, like we talked before, you're paying them not to do anything, because what they're doing now works fine.
Right.
So if they didn't get the incentives, they would have to reinvent and make things better for people to want it.
Right. And you got to make it sellable. You got to make whatever you're offering. I mean, say, wow, we can't do without that. It's a no-brainer. Let's go do it. No, the way it is now, it's people have heard
they're being paid not to improve.
Right. I mean,
you know what I mean?
You just walk out in Michigan in the middle of winter. Walk out and see how much sunlight you have, how length of it. No,
today was a nice day.
Yeah, today, but that was like for
one out of
5 days.
Yeah,
5 days that we had actually some sun. Okay, let's face it, you're going to have energy needs even on the cloudy days. Especially, it's going to be on cloudy days probably.
And plus solar and wind, they're one trick ponies,
right?
Where you never, even if somebody came up with free energy, right? You can't do away with petroleum.
No, you can't.
It's in everything.
Right. This thing right here, these pretty much everything around
us. It had something to do with
these things here.
The lip balm.
Right.
Lip balm.
Your glasses.
Makeup people women put on their faces, some men.
Yeah, so
It's in all that's in everything. So you can't get away from it.
it's okay because it was so readily available and so usable. Bam. I mean, let's face it, our ancestors. I mean, but you eventually something comes down the road that could maybe be better. But so far, I don't see that coming. I just simply
Well,
can't
I
see it coming.
mean, like you said, okay, so you solve energy. So we're not burning fuel or hydrocarbons, whatever it is they want to call it.
Right.
And we've got solar down. But you're still going to have to drive cars,
Right. And yet,
and trains are going to have to move.
right. And there's like, yeah, I mean, there's benefit for trains because you can
Right. But what I'm saying is you can't get away from petroleum.
No, you can't. It's like it's too like that's what I would say ubiquitous. It's in everything. I mean, it's you can't emphasize enough. You can't. It's all over fabrics, shoes.
But the days of these people trying to say, "Oh, solar is the key." People have a phone, they have a computer, and they talk to one another, and they know the truth.
Yeah, just
Especially, I can't believe the show Landman came out and telling the truth about a lot of things, and teaching people things.
I wonder if any of that stuff that the character, that they were saying that Billy Bob Thornton plays the character, the oil man. I don't know his name because I've only seen the clips, but I don't see. I mean, he might be hard for him. The landman, yeah. And he's like, it might be awful hard for him to say that because I don't think I think he's kind of on the left politically and stuff like that.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No.
I always got that impression he was on the left. But I mean, I just think that that's common sense. The character on that show, he's speaking truth. I mean, he's just spitting truth. That's all it is. I mean, it's really good. If you haven't seen that clip, I guess if you want to pay for the,
you don't have to pay for it. You just go on TikTok and type in Landman,
and so the whole ship.
Always little monologues come up.
Those are great, by the way. They are instruction, just like what's the one about what is it, Yellowstone?
Yeah,
those some of those.
No, you're talking about Kevin Costner.
Kevin, yeah.
What was the name of the where he was?
He was a rancher.
No, where's the outpost? They were explaining to the Indians chief.
That was on Dance with Wolves.
Yeah,
Dance with Wolves. Where
he sat down and he actually explained to her how brutal indigenous people were at the time.
It's all I know is that Landman's a good one because he lays out a lot of truth for people and they don't want to hear it, especially those alternative energy people who are so hell bent to get us all on solar and wind. I just listen to it and really weigh it in. I mean, and check your facts. Go online. Use the internet. Anyway. So, I think your time plays music.
Yeah. Thanks for watching the 11 people that. 11
so far.
11 people that stayed with us.
Okay.
I must have fell asleep.
Have a good one, guys. Okay, people.